Mental illness. What do we know about mental illness? Nowadays, it is common for us to hear this term as it is advocated all around us, on social media, in school, or even in our favorite book. We've heard about it numerous times, but do we actually grasp the concept of mental illness?
An example of mental illness is high-functioning depression. We've heard about depression, haven't we? What do you think when you hear about depression? A person constantly crying? A person never leaving their room? Or a person forever painted in pain and misery?
But what about high-functioning depression? Have you heard of that? High-functioning depression is the term that has been adopted to describe those living with depression that is almost undetectable. They might have a job, be studying, dress well, or even have the perfect family lifestyle. But internally, they are indeed suffering from depression without showing the usual signs of depression.
Here are the few signs of HFD. Number 1. Loss of interest in daily activities. It happens when you don't find your favorite movie entertaining anymore, or your favorite meal no longer excites your taste buds. You could be winning at a game, but that jolt of triumph is just absent. Simply put, the things you really love doing do not bring you joy anymore.
Number 2. Tiredness and emptiness. It is when you still feel exhausted even after an 8-hour sleep. It is when after each class you feel extremely drained. It is when lifting your own finger could be unbearable. And when you finally lay down on your comfy bed after a long day of teaching or taking notes from lectures, all you feel is this dark emptiness in the pit of your heart. You do not feel anything, or even if you do feel, it is this numbing feeling of sadness. It doesn't matter if you got first place in that quizzes or your paperwork got praised. They no longer satisfy you.
Number 3. Seeking perfection and low self-esteem. As people with high IQ, we often seek perfection whether we admit it or not. A simple mistake in our essay could send us doubting ourselves the whole day.
Now, what are factors that can cause high-functioning depression? Number 1. Family history. People with high-functioning depression may have close relatives that suffer from a mental illness. It is a genetic factor and can't be controlled.
Number 2. Negative personality. As we have mentioned before, people with low self-esteem, perfectionist tendencies, and having a negative outlook in life have a higher chance to develop HFD.
Number 3. Trauma and high stress. Physical and mental abuse, the loss of a loved one, and other traumatic and stressful memories could also be a factor to a person developing HFD.
Now, let's try to view the world through the eyes of someone who has high-functioning depression. The pandemic that hits us changed many norms, and that includes how we feel. With the daily cases that are rising above the bar, people have lost their jobs and home. You are also not an exception. At this point, you try to stay afloat. Although the pain is unbearable, you still get up every day, sit in front of your devices, greet your patients, joining classes. On the surface, you look like a swan, calm and graceful, but underneath, you are actually a drowning man.
You are getting things done, submitting the tasks and reports with the lethargic hands of yours. They are not the best, but at least you've done it. When hearing about other people suffering from death and starvation, you can't help but feel your own problems are nothing compared to theirs. How dare you compare yourself to other people with bigger problems? So, you try to prove you're worthy by being the best. Best student, best employee, best daughter, keeping everyone happy while you yourself are suffocating. Just like the world, you are tired, but you can't stop moving.
The reality is, it's impossible for us to not feel pain, whether it is from emotional breakdowns, financial loss, or physical afflictions. But whatever the situation is, it is what we do with this strong feeling that matters, because pain can transform us, either in a good or bad way. But we as believers, we have to accept this pain and allow it to wash through us. Just like one of hadith that was narrated by Abdullah in Sahih Bukhari, that there is no fatigue, no disease, nor sorrow, no sadness, nor hurt, nor distress befalls a Muslim, even if it were the prick he received from a thorn, but that Allah expiates some of his sins for that.
So remember, that even if we are at our lowest, Allah will always remember us as long as we remember Him. Just like what He told us in Surah Ar-Ra'd verse 28. Verily, in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find peace.
So, here are a few ways you can reach out and help people with high-functioning depression. Number 1. Ask questions. Ask if they've eaten. Ask how their day went or ask how they are holding up. Let them know that they have someone who cares about them and that they matter.
Number 2. Listen to their problems. When they do finally open up to you and share their problems to you, make sure to lend them an ear. It is always a good sign that they open up to you, as this is a sign they trust you enough to be part of their recovery journey.
Number 2. Avoid cliches and cherry pep talk. Let's be honest, those talks never work. Instead, they make us more annoyed. Talk about things they want to hear and tell them things they need to hear.
As a conclusion, be kind to everyone because we don't know what everyone else is facing. Be aware of the emotions of other people and help them in any way they could.
Just so you know, HFD is not a real clinical diagnosis, and you won't find it listed along with other recognized mental disorders. That might change soon though. For now, HFD falls under the category of dysthymia.
We hope you learned something from this video. Till next time.